Hello everybody, welcome to Plain and Chisel Woodworks. Today we are going to do things a little bit differently. I'm going to show you the end product and then we're going into the actual build. So what this here is our plant stand. It's based off of a design, sort of an idea I saw on the TV show Schitt's Creek. They had in there, in one of the scenes, they had a ladder that had boards laid across it, and that was their plant stand. So it's kind of where this idea comes from. I have the dowels on the front, top, and the bottom to kind of simulate the ladder look, and I made it so that I didn't do this intentionally, but I kind of like it. I didn't worry about filling it. It looks to me like they would be hinged together, so they're not exactly a solid fit, which I think looks good that way. And then also we have each shelf gets progressively longer, so it's like 2 inches here, 4 inches this direction, and I think this is about 7 down at the bottom. I'll explain how I did that in the video, but just kind of wanted to point that out. I did that on purpose. And also, this board down here is the thinnest, and this one's in between, right in between. I did that kind of show, because when we're doing woodworking, if you use all the same thicknesses, it kind of looks like you just bought pre-milled lumber, and we do all the work by milling it, so might as well look like we're milled it. So yeah, this thing turned out pretty good. I know it's wobbly right here, but that's the floor. It does lay flat. So anyways, in the next scene, we'll be starting to build. So thank you guys, and again, welcome to Plain and Chisel Woodworks. Have a good day. Oh, a quick side note. I'm kind of wanting to start actually charging for woodworking on a consistent basis. And pricing is always difficult, so I'm reaching out to you guys to give me an idea. So in the comments, what would you charge for this? This plant stand is 59 inches high, and the shelves go from 42 inches to a little over 11 with a width of 8 inches. So just give me an idea what you guys would charge for it, or if you don't do woodworking and you just watch this for entertainment, what would you pay for something like this? Leave a note in the comments. I would really appreciate it. And any other thoughts you have, if you like the design, anything you would change about it, let me know. But I thank you guys, and I hope you enjoy the build. All right, bye. So, angles with everything are a little complicated. If maybe you were smarter than I am, it wouldn't be, but it's been a long time since I've been in trigonometry. So what I wanted to do is I want to try to make the math simple. So I'm making this angle 40 degrees. Now it's a little under that here, but whatever. This is just a drawing. So this is going to be 40 degrees here, but that doesn't help me get the angle to cut the dados in the side here. But what I need to do, as if this was continuing on, I'm going to continue this on like it's a continuous line. And same thing with here. So this angle here is 40 degrees. What I need to know is I need to figure out what this angle is, because that'll be the same as this here, if that makes sense. And that's whenever you have a straight line and you know one of the angles, you can always figure out the other angle, because the equal add up to 180. So all I have to do is subtract that from 180, or in this protractor, if you can see this is where 40 degrees is, so 140 degrees is this angle. Another way you can do it is set up your bevel gauge. The smaller angle on your bevel gauge will be this angle. So I'm setting out 40, And then this angle here is my 140. So anyways, and then the only other angle we have to do is the same process. I needed to figure out what this angle was. This angle was 40 degrees. And then what we have here in each of these other ones is, they're all exactly the same angles on the triangles. So we have an angle here, that's a triangle. And again, just like in a straight line, if you add in all three angles, that should equal 180. So all you have to do is take 40 and subtract that from 180, and that'll give you these two angles because they're the same. And then you divide that measurements, which is 140 again. You divide that by 2 because there's 2 of them. So that's how you come up with 70 degrees. And then to get the angle of the dado, you do the exact same thing. It's going to be 70 degrees minus 180, which is 110. So that's going to be the angle that these dados are cut at, is 110. It'll make sense later on, but I kind of want to just go over that because if you're like me, that took you a while to figure out. Other than that, it's exactly the same. It's just going to be cut at angles. So anyways, let's get to work. So I'm going to mark this out with this gauge just to get to know where I can start. So I want these to be fairly even at this top corner. I may actually move it down just a little bit. I'm just using pencil right now, just so I can get an idea. Okay, so now I'm going to take each of these boards and we're going to transfer that bottom line to all of them. There, that works. So I don't know where these are all going to fit. So right now I'm just going to nick each corner. Scoring it down with the router. This is marked to half the distance of the piece. And I'm going to mark which side I want to cut off. Knife all in first. I'm trying to do here is make it so I can make this cut easier. I'm gonna stay above my line. Good for there. Okay, so now take the board that it's marked with. Check. Let me go with a narrower chisel. It's a little wide. Okay, now that I got it close, take the chisel, the router, for us to clean up. Look at that. That's the top. I gotta do the same thing on the other side. So I'll come back after I get the rest, all 4 of these other ones cut, and then we'll show you how I'm going to do the shelves. So I have the tops cut, all the angles set. I did make a mistake and cut one in the wrong angle. So what I did was I just cut that piece off and then recut it again, so it's a little bit shorter, but I was going to cut some off the end anyways, which you will at the end. It will at the end of the project once everything's set. But that's fine. I'm designing this as I go. And I also, you probably can't see these lines, but in order so I don't make that same mistake again, before I took these apart, I laid out the boards the angles aren't there, but it'll at least give me the general direction. So they go in like this and like this for this set, and opposite for the other. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take one of these points and we're going to mark out where they all go. So I'm going to take that one there. And what this is going to be, this is the bottom of the triangle of the peak. So I'm going to use that mark there, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to mark this. So this one's at 6. And 12 inches. And 18 inches. A little off on the bottom one for my pencil marks. That's okay. I also clamped these together because these boards are a little warpy a little bit. They move around. Once we get the shelves in place, that'll all take care of itself, but I wanted to get it there. So anyways, so now we have that marked. We need to take that to the other 2 boards. Because you want them to line up the same. Oh, and I squared up the ends so that they should all line up. I'm going to put another mark right at the middle of those 2 lines. These 2 lines, and these 2 lines down here. All right, so these pencil marks are way off, but like I said, the word is a little bit bowed and stuff, so it's going to change everything. But that just gives me the angle, the rough angle to draw everything out. Now before I take these out of the clamps, I want to mark out where we want the dowels to go also. So on the top one here, we're going to mark this, it's going to go right in the center of that triangle. So the bottom part of this triangle is where this is going to go. And I'll take the marking gauge later once because I want to come in from the outside in, but I want to leave little nicks where these are going to go. So that one you can see pretty easy. And then we're going to go down to the bottom. And this was about 23. I'm going to go average 22. So I'm going to move down, what, 11 inches? Split the difference. Actually, I think I'm going to put that at 12, just for round numbers. And I'll mark on the center of the boards, and also put a nick on the corners. And I have this marked to the center, so I can do that on both sides. This will kind of just give me a angle, the line. And I'll do that on all these others too. All right, so now I can take these apart. We can go back to one. And I'll show you how or that one's already been done, okay. I'm going to transfer that line around though. We'll work on the other side. So that's that. Now, this is set up with our 70-degree angle or 110 counter. And what's nice about having these lines, even though this is way off, the line is here and here, I can come up to here and mark from that. And I can still follow that same general angle all the way through. And all I'm doing is lining it up with this. Make a good line there. This is the middle shelf. And then, so that's what I did at the top. I'll move it back here because this is the one I'm gonna show you guys that I do. All of them are going to be done exactly the same. So just like before, I'm going to take a pencil line, just square down the lines a little bit, just so. Probably don't have to do this. And I'm going to keep the same setting I had on the router as I had before. And then just like before, I'm going to take this, cut in my knife line, my line. Good. This one I'm going to stop a little early. I'm going to cut out this section because it's kind of narrow. It'll help me clear it out. So I'm going to take the board, hold it up to it, make it nick. Make sure that you're not pushing down on the chisel onto this edge. At least that's what I'm going to try to do. Remember, everything I say isn't really trying to teach you guys, it's just showing you what I'm doing. Because I am not qualified to be a teacher. Because I don't really know what I'm doing half the time. I went in that line, punched it up. And I'm just going to work my way down to that. There's a bit of a knot there. Now I'm going to take the router, where the bit will fit, just barely. Clean it out. I'm only going halfway through. Make sure that bottom corner is nice. And I did go a little bit deep on that, but that'll be okay. See, this doesn't go in. So, I was a little off on my cutting. Take my wide chisel, stick it right in that knife line that I made. Make this just a touch wider. That's better. Oh. It's all the way to the bottom. And sticks coming out. So anyways, it may take some fitting for that, but that's what we got. That's how we do this. And then I'm going to take a 3/4 inch bit. I want to check, make sure I don't. can't get a line in there after all. Oh, so close. I'm actually going to come in from this side first because I don't want to mess up that wall. I don't want to go all the way through either. Nice. Came out right where my line was. It's not a good brace, good bit, but that's what I have that fits. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side. About halfway, so now we'll back it out. We'll go halfway from the other way. There. Shoot, a little bit of tear out. Okay, so I'm going to cut all the rest of these, and I'm going to come back and we're going to do a little bit of epoxy work because I have some bug holes I need. Because I have a few bug holes that I need to fill. I've already done that a little bit, but cleaning it up, some of the epoxy fell out again. So I'm going to finish. I'm going to come back through and touch up some of those. Anyways, so yeah, I'm going to finish cutting these, and then I'll come back and we'll do the epoxy. And then we'll be ready for, well, we have to cut the dowels still, think. But we'll be ready for assembly pretty quick. This is going to be a really fast project. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm just going to show you how I do this epoxy. So 2-part epoxy, 50-50 ratio. I don't need a whole lot. And I'm going to put a little drop of, this is way more than I need. 1 drop of the dye. Which is aluminite dye, black. That's what they had at Woodcraft. Stir it up real good. If I was doing a lot, I would make sure I stirred it for a full 2 minutes, but it's just a small amount, so I'm just going to stir it up well. And this is way, way more than I need. For things like this, I like doing it on just a little piece of cardboard. That way there's no real cleanup. I'll just throw the cardboard away. What I have is just a stick from a cutoff. And then drop that in. Sorry for my dogs barking in the background. And I do have a little bit on the other side of this board, I think, that has to be done. But I'll let this set and dry. And then they've already been filled once, so they shouldn't go very deep, but I don't know. See, this is way more than I needed, but that's okay. I'm just letting it set. Just to make sure it doesn't sink down in more. But that's that. I'll just let that sit. I'll put it off to the side, let it sit. And tomorrow, or whenever I get these joints all cut, we'll come back and we'll talk about assembly. So hopefully I'll have these assembled, or hopefully assembled by tomorrow, but we'll see. All right, well, I'll see you guys later. Bye. Okay, so we're getting pretty farther in this. All I've done with this since beforehand, is I did not like where these holes lined up. So I plugged these holes and glued them and let them set, and I just cleaned them off roughly, just so it's flush right now. These need final cleanup later on. But I'm going to re-drill these holes with this board together. So in order to get that all lined up, I put this on the bench with the shelves, because the shelves are going to be what sets the angle. That way, if there's any mistake in here, it'll all work out in the end. So I put these shelves in, but while I did that, I also lined up because I need to cut off the edges. So This one, first of all, let's go back. Let's be a little organized. I set my marking gauge to the center, but before I did that, I struck a line from corner to corner. You could probably do the same thing by striking a line through this corner. That's probably a better way to do it than using a marking gauge. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill through this, and where that hole comes out at the other side, I'm going to I'll flip it over and then I'll finish the hole up from there. Snail's not grabbing very good. I need to get some good augers. Ones that are actually meant for a brace and bit. A brace. I'm going to use a drill. So anyways, I'll leave that alone. I'll do that off camera. I'm going to explain how I got the angles of this. So I just used one board, one side, and what I did was I measured 2 inches for the top board and 4 inches for this board. Now, that just gives me a little bit of a staggered distance, so it's not going to be the same angle as the shelf. And then what I did was I just took one of these other sides and I lined it up with the top 2, and then I lined this board up with these 2. Okay? And while I'm here, I'm going to mark where that corners are. Where they line up on the board. That way when and I'll transfer them to the sides because I'm going to work on the edge, but I'm going to transfer these lines onto the side of the board. But this will give me an idea of where to line up the shelf after I'm done, and I'll transfer these. transfer these lines to the other side so they both line up. And then whatever I'm going to do here is I'm going to take from that line because this is that outside edge. Which in this case it's 2, 4, and then whatever that one is. And I'm going to take that and I measure over. I guess I didn't even. I'll measure over that distance to here. Because this is from this outside line here. That's the outside of the board. And I'm going to strike a line. And we're going to cut this off. We're going to cut the board off to this distance. So right now I got the whole desk cleared up right now, so I'm going to set that aside. But, and again, we'll square it over all the way around the edge, and we're going to cut that off and square it to that line. And then we'll come back over. I'll do that off camera again too. And then we'll come and finish the shelves up and finish the cleanup, and we'll be ready for glue. So I'm going to finish this up. I'm going to drill this hole, finish marking all these, and we'll come back after in a second, and I'll come back in when I round over the edges to kind of show you how I'm doing that. But it's pretty close to being done. The other thing we have to do is we got to measure the distance for the dowels to go through, but we'll get that in a second. So, all right, I'll be back. Okay, so we got it clamped up one final time before we glue it together. But now we need to cut the dowels for the ends. So I'm going to hang it past a little bit because we're going to use this first section. So, I don't know, inch or so. What I'm going to do, so I'm going to take a pencil and we're going to mark the inside first. That's the most important mark. And then the outside is not quite as important, but I'll show you why in a second. So what we have is our inside line and then the outside line. And this here is the thickness of the board. So what I'm going to do, just move this as a unit. Okay, so what I'm going to do here cut this off. Firstly, I'm going to cut two more like that. Now I'm going to take a chisel. This is why the outside mark is important. Well, before I go too far, let's transfer these lines. The inside line especially, that is the most important one. So that's what we're going to use to line up. Legs, I'm just going to do the same thing with the outside marks. Shoot. Good thing I got two dowels. I cut them too short by just a touch. Okay, sorry about that. This was my original one, okay. So I need to cut 3 more of these, but this time I'm going to go a little bit farther past that spot. It's a little longer now. Double check. Good. All these are going to get cut down at the end, but I want them a little bit longer. Okay, let's try this again. That's the original one? The original one. Okay, so here, I'll do this like this. Help keep it squared up a little bit. Where is it? There's the marks. Transfer all those lines. I can just use this. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to stay away from that line, but I want to shorten up the end a little bit, so that way it goes through. That way it goes into the hole a little better. So there we go. I'm going to do that with all of these, and then I'm going to do a final cleanup on the boards on these faces, just to get rid of little scoring marks. Be careful not to take much off of the edge here, because that is where our, if we take very much off, it'll just loosen up the dados. So I'm going to take just barely anything off, just clean up the faces and sand them. I won't sand them much, just with 220. I might not even do that. I might wait till it's all together. But I just want to clear up this, take any of the epoxy spots off that need to be done. I'm going to make sure I'm not going to touch the edges. So I'm going to make sure, like on this one, I haven't done it yet. The other ones are in there. But I'm going to transfer these lines onto the edge. So they'll stay there, and then just before I glue up, we'll put those lines back on again. Because that's where I don't want to lose that marking edge. So all that meaning about that is we're going to transfer these lines and since the bottom isn't the same spot, we only have to worry about the top. So I'm only going to transfer the lines on whatever side is the top on my boards. But I'm going to put all the lines on the edge so that when I'm sanding or whatever I'm doing to the front faces, they'll be there. Oh, I'll show you this too before I stop the camera again. We're going to round the edges over on the ends, and that's just like every other time we've done it. All I'm going to do, I'm not going to round them over much, but I just want to smooth out so there's no sharp edges on this. Just ever so slightly. it's not have much of a radius on it. But what that'll do is that'll just keep it from getting hit. And just before we're done, I'll round over these edges also, but I don't want to make a you know what? I think it'll be easier just to do it now. So we're going to round over it will be a little bit of a gap in the back corners. But I'm just softening the corners, edges. And there's probably one more thing we should do before we take that apart. So that's all I'm doing with these boards. We'll clean up the faces a little bit. So that's done on this side. I'll do the same thing on this side. Well, since I'm here, I'll just do it. Yeah, hold on. I want to give you, I don't want to keep these videos super long. Right now this whole thing leans, but might be the flooring it's on. I'm going to take it out to a leveler spot. This floor is not very level back here. And we're going to level it up. Oh, it's also sticking against the wall. So I'm going to get this leveled with just a level, just like always before. And I'm going to take one of these blocks, lay it flat on the ground, and I'm going to, I can kind of show this. If this is the way the leg is sitting on the ground, I don't know how I'm going to show you this on camera. I'm just going to go along and trace with a knife. Trace that all the way around the legs while it's clamped up like this. And when I take it apart for this time, I'll cut that off and plane it and then chamfer all the edges just like before. I can probably show that on video once I get it marked. So I'll be right back after I get those marked. And all right, so I hope that makes sense. I'm just trying to level up all the legs and get them to be flat on the ground. Okay, so what I have to do here, I marked this level with the floor. I did use pencil because the marking knife just wasn't working right. It was too far away. So I just used a pencil line to make the same line all the way around at an angle, so that it lays flat on the floor, just instead of just a corner. Now I'm going to leave that line on just slightly. Now, I've left that line on. I'm going to do the plane, just like planing everything, but you've got to make sure you don't go past on the end because you'll split these fibers out. I'm going to square it off to that line. Sorry for the loud noise. But again, make sure you don't put your plane all the way across to the other side. Now I'm going to get this as close as I can, but the problem with 4 legs is things are never, the floors are never flat. So even if I do all this work and get it perfect, the odds are good that it's still not going to lay flat on the floor. But what's nice is wood moves a little bit, so as you put weight down on it, it'll all flex down into, so it'll all stay stable, hopefully. And if the floor is really bad, you have to shim it anyways. But next thing we're going to do is we're going to break all these corners and put a pretty decent chamfer on them. So just like every other time, you skew the plane. Go into the grain, not like I just did. Because those sharp corners will just break off. See how I'm skewing the plane? What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get these corners to all line up right to the corner. Now, again, nobody will see this. But that's that part. Now, just like with before, with the shelves, I'm going to just break the corners here. I'm not actually rounding them. I'm just breaking the corners. Each pass I did a little bit different angle. That way it's starting to get the rounding process. You can feel it not taking the sharpness off the corners. So I need to do that on all 4 sides. Now they're all nice and rounded. I'm going to take the top here and do the same kind of thing. Sit it on the feet. Just put a little bit of a tamper on. Try to make it fairly even. You guys can't see it all that one. Sorry about that. All I'm trying to do is get these little corners to get fairly close to the edge. It's going to be a little bit of a rustic thing anyways. But, all right, so I got to do that on all 4 legs and finish the faces. And next time you'll see me, we'll be ready for gluing up. Okay, so I will be back later. Okay, my friends, welcome back. We are just about ready to start doing the final finish on this. I do have it glued up. I didn't do that. Gluing up is too stressful, so I didn't record that part. But what I need to do is I need to cut these flush, these dowels flush, and fill in around the outside of them. Those are the only gaps I'm going to worry about. These extra ones here, I'm not going to worry about them. But anyways, so what I'm going to doing is I just took a piece of cardboard, I think it was a cracker box, just to protect the wood, and I'm going to lay my saw flat on it, and I'm making sure that this back part isn't up on the edge of this, because that'll tilt it down. So still dug in a little bit, but we'll clean it up, but that's okay. Before we do that though, we're going to fill in some the edges. So I'm going to take that all the way down to the bottom. There. Now you can see there's still a few cracks around the outside where the drill bit must be just a touch too big. So this is a trick you can do if you have end grain showing. It doesn't really do good if it's on a face frame, but you can make your own wood putty. So this is just sawdust. Get this cleared out in a second. Had a little glue stuck in the bottom there. So just take a little glue, take sawdust, and we'll mix it in. So that it looks kind of like a mud. Like that. And I'm just going to rub that into all these little sections here. You can do the same thing for dovetails and stuff too. And then once this dries, you won't be able to tell that it's there. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to do that on the rest of them, and I'll be back and we'll show you what I'm going to do for finishing it up. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so now that this is dried, we can clean it off. This will be the last part of this video. But anyways, first thing I'll do is I'll just take my plank. Cleaning off most of it. I'm trying to go even because both these sides are already flushed. So I'm going to kind of go evenly down. Taking out all the scratch marks, but you see how that no longer has any gaps in it. Something else I can do is you can take the card scraper, get any of the final scratches off. And then all you have to do is take a bit of 220 sandpaper, going with the grain of the wood. And sand it all down. So, just like every other project, I have to go through and clean up all the glue spots, leftover drips and everything else. But I just wanted to show you that part of it. I guess that's it for this video. You've already, at the beginning of the videos where I'm going to show the whole thing put together, so you've already seen that. So anyways, I want to thank you guys for following along with this. Again, please subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you, and have a good day. Bye.